Are you tired of not being able to complete the Voyage of Despair Easter egg or boss fight? Well, welcome to the guide. This is the correct guide for you to complete this Easter egg very simply solo. Now, I must admit this is one of the hardest Easter eggs to do in Zombies history, especially Black Ops 4. So if you want an easier Easter egg, I recommend you just wait until like Dead of the Night or Alpha Omega to release. However, I'm going to give you all the spawn points and all the ways to get the Kraken Wonder Weapon and the easiest solo boss fight for you guys. So, without further ado, let's go and hop into the setup. The elixirs we're going to want to use is anywhere over here, just in case we get stuck in the corner and we need to get out quickly. Equipment, simply because the ray fires are a wonder weapon in and of itself, so make sure you get this because they're very useful. Temporal gifts is going to be massively useful to get a double points lasting forever inside the early rounds. And of course, Arsenal Accelerator is very useful to charge our wonder weapon / specialist weapon, which is just massive to save us. Now, it doesn't really matter what order they put them in except for Odin, but the person we're going to use is PhD because it's going to give us the easiest boss fight possible. Stamina, because this is a very big map, and I recommend you get this for the planet step as well, because that is the time step. Dying Wish, because it's just a save me perk as well if you get stuck in the corner and die. This will just give you a basic extra life. And of course, Winter's Will, I recommend you put this in your modifier / Odin slot, because it's going to give us an ability as we run around to freeze zombies and give us an extra charge. Massive for the boss fights. Now, the specialists, I recommend you just pick any specialist. You can either pick the Chaperones, or I recommend the Viper and Dragon. It doesn't really matter. However, the Scepter Vault isn't very good for this map, so I don't recommend you put that on. But yeah, these are the specialists I recommend. Ray Fires is your equipment because it's just infinite damage and it does a ton of damage against the zombies, and it's just very good. Now, for spawning weapon, I recommend you just use the Strife, specifically with the bayonet attachment or the little knife attachment. Very, very useful in the early rounds. And that is going to be our setup. No talismans or mega elixirs needed at all. Now, we are going to be staying inside the spawn room until about round 4 or 5. So go ahead and activate your temporal gift elixir. So whenever we get a double points, we can get it for 1 minute instead of 30 seconds to get the maximum amount of time and kills that we possibly can. Now, if you do not get a double points up until like round 1 to 4, then I recommend you go an extra round to round 5. And that should guarantee you get a double points at the beginning or at least around the end of the round, which will be very useful because you should have about a ton of points to get to the Sentinel Artifact and everything else like that. So as soon as you're done, go and open up to this area. We are now looking for a shield spot. The first shield spawn can be on this chair right here and next to like the little dressing / bedroom right here in the staterooms. And the next one is just coming in this room like with the weird painted floor right on this little shelf right here. And then coming through this room over here, you can see one also on this chair right here. Now those are all the spawns for the first spawn. Now let's go and head on top of the captain's quarters. Now if you go ahead and take this staircase on the right, you can see a first spawn right here on this like little ledge area beside the like steering wheel area. And then if you come actually inside of this room, you can also see one on this crate right here. And then if you come over here, you can also see one on this railing at the very back of this bridge area. Now, I'm going to walk you through this simply because it's very confusing and everything kind of looks the same in this map. So if you come to this door, there's a pot spawn on this little table right here where it is in my game. And then there's also one on this table back here, and you can see a little pot right there. Then coming past these, you can go and open up to this little area. Walk all the way over here, past this box spawn right here, and then you can see the Sentinel Artifact. Go and walk up to the Sentinel Artifact on the bow, interact with it, and now you can go activate PaP the Punch. We have now done the first step of this Easter egg, activating power basically. And we're also going to find the final shield part. First PaP the Punch pedestal is actually going to be on the back of the ship right here, and you can go and interact with this, or unless you want to PaP the Punch, you can actually save that for last, because wherever you interact with it last, that's where the PaP the Punch will be. Now coming down here, you can first find a shield part coming down these stairs right over here on this ledge, kind of like actually on like the railing right there. And then if you go and come down even deeper, there's also one on this like little bit of like dressing area and stuff right here. And then coming down even deeper and you pass this little like fridge area room, you can also see one on these crates right there. Very hidden actually. Now once you enter the engine room, go ahead and make your way to the very back of this room in the boiler room, where you can then see a little pipe here. Go ahead and drain all the water out to make it easier to go around this room. And then if you go ahead into the turbine room, there's another PaP the Punch pedestal right here, and you can go ahead and activate that as well. You should now have all shield pieces. Go and craft the shield on this little section right here. And once again, we're just going over all the simple stuff right now. So if you want to get to the actual Easter egg and how some tips for that, you can go ahead and skip to the other parts of the video. But this is just the simple setup and the easiest way to go about this, the earliest. Now head to the lower areas of the grand staircase where all this like black gunk is and stuff. Go and activate the Pack-a-Punch pedestal, and now we only have one more to go. And now if you go and head back to the spawn area and open up underneath, or just go underneath, you can then go and open up to the cargo hold, and it's going to be at the very back of the cargo hold, where as well another pipe will be to go and drain that water, as well as another Kraken upgrade kit. The first spawn for that part can be on this crate right beside the little pipe drainer right there. As well, if you're coming like past this little lantern right here, it can also be on this little bit of fire right here. And that is all the spawns for that. Once again, only 2 spawns for that. And now we should also be done for the first actual step of the Easter egg. And now it's time to begin the dreaded clock step. So I'm going to tell you the easiest and probably guaranteed method, so you can get this every time for you guys, method of how to do this step. Now, this step might sound a little confusing at first, but don't worry, it's really, really easy, and I'm going to show you the time of how to get this. Now, there will be a bunch of clocks around the map, and those will be set on times and also have a symbol or a triangle next to them. They will end, only 4 of these clocks will have a symbol next to them. Those 4 symbols being a upside down triangle, a normal side triangle with a line going through it, and an upside down triangle with a line going through it. Now, that is just basically it. So just write down those symbols on a piece of paper. And now we're going to have to go check a bunch of locations. I'm going to show you all the locations where the clock and symbol will be. Now, we're just going to go ahead and try and find these clock symbols. So let's go and start from the spawn. Now, inside the mail rooms, underneath these stairs, right beside these boxes, you can see my first symbol's an upside down triangle with a line going through it. So I'm going to keep that note down, and I'm going to go ahead and look at this clock, which is over here on the wall, and I can see that my time is 2:50. However, we're not going to write it down like that. Instead, we're going to write it down like this. -2:2. So first you're going to put your minute hand as negative or whatever number you get. So my minute hand in my game was actually on 10. However, it is actually negative. It was -2 away from 12. Now that sounds really confusing, but I'm going to try and sum this up for you. This here is a clock, and in my game I got 10. So I'm going to do -2 because it's 2 away from 12 to the left, and also I got 2, and which is just going to be a +2 away from 12. Now that just sounds really confusing, but this clock will just help you remind it. So make sure to put your minute hand first before your hour hand. So just keep that in mind. Minute comes before hour, so it's the opposite of before. So -2:2 is my game because the minute hand was on 10/-2, and my hour hand was on 2/normal, just +2. So hopefully this clock will help you out. Now, this Easter egg is just confusing, so hopefully that was the easiest way I could explain it. The next one is going to be underneath that little chair right there, or the office desk, and the clock is going to be right beside the steering wheel right here. Now, in my game, my numbers would be -1, +3, because my minute hand was on 11, and that is just -1 away from 12, and my hour hand was on 3, so I'm going to write that down as right, and it was an upside down triangle, so I'm going to write that down, and now I got 2 out of my 4 symbols. Heading directly into the grand staircase, the symbol is going to be right above this door, right beside the Spitfire wall and the clock is going to be right just in like the obvious area right here, and I did not have a symbol there, so I did not have to write anything down. Heading into the lounge area, the first class lounge area, the symbol is going to be right there on the wall, and I got a right side up triangle, and the clock is going to be on this fireplace right here. Once again, I write it down as -3, -4, and once again, these clocks will not be the same in your game. These are just all randomized. The symbols where they spawn are randomized, and the clock numbers are randomized as well. So this deck just involves a lot of RNG where the symbols are actually going to spawn and if they're going to spawn with other clocks. So just keep that in mind. Now, when I said the symbols are going to be randomized, I mean they're in the same spot. However, they're not always going to spawn next to that clock. So just check all the spawns just to be sure, and you should get all 4 symbols. Now, the next spawn is into the galley. This symbol is going to be right here on this little bit of cabinet or stuff right here, and the clock is just going to be right past that right here. And once again, I did not have this symbol in my game, so I do not have to write this down. However, there is one more final part you must collect in here, and the first one can be on this like little shelf right here beside all those dishes. And coming into the next room over here, the next one can just be on this shelf beside this like weird looking machine right there. And now we've collected the final upgrade kit part for the Kraken 1 weapon, which we will get soon enough. Final symbol and clock spawn is in the 3rd class berths area, and that is going to be underneath these stairs right there, and the clock is just going to be right beside this destroyed wall. I'm going to write that down for one final time. If you checked all 4 of those locations correctly, you should have all 4 of your symbols. Make sure you did the Pack-a-Punch if they're not spawning. And now it's time to actually input these symbols, which comes the tricky part. if we did this correctly. Now, if we did not do this correctly, we messed up somewhere, and the problem is we just don't know where. So we're going to go input all of these numbers correctly inside of the captain's quarters or on the bridge right here. Heading to the bridge, there are going to be 4 dials that we must turn. Now, in this one in my game was the right side up triangle, so I'm going to turn that one to -3 because that's what the minute hand was set to. So all these ones in the captain's quarters are the minute hand directions. So then you can go ahead and look at this one behind this one. In my game, this is going to be set to -2. Now, coming over here, this one is going to be an upside down triangle, and that is going to be -1, just like that. And this one's going to be a right side up triangle with a line going through it, which is +2. And after you did that, you will not get an activation noise. You will just have to hope that you've done these symbols correctly. Using my strategy with these negative and positive numbers, I actually originated this from Cooking Pizza. So go check him out. I will leave him at the end of this video. This is where I actually recommend you take out the minute hand numbers because we will not need those anymore. So go and only leave the hour hand numbers or the numbers that were associated with the hour hands that were on the clocks previously, because those are the only ones we're going to need now to avoid further confusion. Now, the ones on the poop deck, the one on the right is actually going to associate with the upside down line going through it, and the one toward the left is going to be the right side up triangle with a line going through it. So keep that in mind. So in my game, it was -1 for the right side up and normal 2 for the upside down triangle with a line going through it. Now we're going to head to the engine room. Now, there's only going to be 2 that you can actually interact with and aren't destroyed and cracked. And this one's going to be set to the right side up triangle, so -4 in my game. And this one right here is going to be set to the upside down triangle, or 3 in my game. And if you did this step correctly, you should hear this noise. However, if you pull up your tooltip menu, you should also see that change as well. And now it's time to get a little bit more. It's not as complicated. However, you still need to probably write this stuff down. However, it's still really easy to do, and it's going to be much easier to explain. And if that clock step was pretty hard for you to explain, it's pretty difficult to explain, honestly. But basically, just look for the clocks, write down the minute hand, then the hour hand in the clock that I previously showed you, write down those numbers that they associate to, and then the ones inside the captain quarters associate to the minute hand, and the ones on the poop deck and engine room represents the hour hand. So keep that in mind. Hopefully, if it wasn't too confusing for you guys, but let me know in the comment section. But now it's time to move on to the element step. Now, there are going to be a bunch of outlets around the map, and only 4 of those outlets will be sparking with an element or a catalyst zombie type. So this one, underneath the poop deck, the first one right here, was actually sparking fire for me. So I'm going to write that down, or just keep that in mind, that the one underneath the poop deck was associated with the fire element. So that is the first outlet location, and if it's not sparking in your game, just stand there for a minute. If it's not sparking, it's just not in your game. However, it does take a minute for it to actually start sparking, so keep that in mind. Next outlet's actually going to be on the aft decks outside this barrier right here, and it was not sparking in my game, so I do not need to worry about that outlet. The next one's going to be inside the dining hall beside the raw perk statue. In my game, it was actually smoking poison, so I'm going to keep that in mind and write that one down as well. Next one's going to be in the grain staircase area. In my game, it was sparking water variant, so I'm going to write that down as well. The next one is going to be located inside the staterooms right here beside that shields part spawn. However, in my game, this one was not sparking. The last one's going to be located inside of the Zeus statue room, and mine is sparking electric, so I'm going to write that down. And now I should know where all 4 of my variants are. That's all the locations for the outlets too. So now I'm just going to keep those in mind. Now we're going to have to wait until they actually start spawning. So we're going to try and make it to round 9, but not move on from round 9. So stay on round 9, and I recommend you have Winter's Wail as well. Now, we're only doing this if you guys want the free Kraken and free Homunculus. And if you do not want that, you can go ahead and get it out of the box, or I'll teach you how to do the free way in a second. However, to get the free Kraken and Homunculus, you must do the clock step and also be on round 9. So keep that in mind. Once you're on round 9 and you save about 1 zombie at the end of the round, you're going to want to do exactly what I do in this game. So first, you're going to want to try and Winter's Wail the zombie. Then hold X while crouched on this little part of the bench right here. Then move along this path right here. It's very confusing, but you're just going to have to move about the same path that I am in this game. And then move up these stairs, move kind of to the left a little bit, then walk past this life preserver. Knife, stand up, and then switch weapons. And before you knife, you're going to want to let go of the X. You're going to have to hold X all throughout that path. And if you do that correctly, you should get the free Kraken and Homunculus Wonder Weapon, which is awesome. But keep in mind that that's the exact path you have to take. It is kind of confusing. You might take you a couple of tries. But with Winter's Wail, the zombie shouldn't bother you too much. And now you have a free Kraken and Homunculus. If that's too hard for you, you can then go and try to get the free method or the box method. And once again, I'll teach you to do the free method when it comes to that point. And now, well, we're waiting for catalyst zombie spawns. It should start to appear around round 10. So once you find a zombie catalyst type that you want to go ahead and get out of the way, you're going to want to take it to that outlet that was sparking the correct element. So in my game, I grabbed a poison zombie, catalyst zombie type, and for my game, that was actually inside of the raw perk machine. So I'm going to take that poison zombie to that outlet. I'm going to kill the zombie at least near the outlet, and then you should see this weird symbol appear on the floor. Now, if you have already done one catalyst zombie kill beside an outlet and you've got that symbol in your game, you cannot actually do another symbol. So you can only do one symbol per round. So just keep that in mind. And also, it doesn't matter what order you kill and get the symbols in, it just matters what you interact with them with. But we'll talk about that more later. So kill each of the zombie variant types beside the outlet that was sparking their correct element. And in my game, the final zombie type was fire, so I go and kill it beside the outlet. I get that symbol spawned, and now I have all 4. Now this is where I recommend you start to spin to try and get the Helion Salvo rocket launcher. While doing this catalyst zombie step, I recommend you try and kill a poison enemy in specific with your Kraken. If you do this, you can then see it drop like a contaminated heart, right from its body. It will drop an item, you'll see it on the floor. Go and try and pick that up, and it'll be its poison zombie heart. You have to kill a poison zombie. Each element you kill will drop a specific item. However, the poison one is the actual one we need for this Easter egg. And if you take all these parts down to the engine room, and then go and craft the kit for this with all 3 of the parts we collected previously, and it'll cost much less to do this unupgraded than with the upgraded Kraken. So just go and get this, and this will be needed for a future step after this element step. Now, once you do this, you're going to want to collect the upgraded Helion Salvo, which might take a couple spins to get the Helion Salvo. Go and try and upgrade that in the Pack-a-Punch machine. Get all 4 of your perks, Homunculus and the Kraken. It doesn't have to be the poison quite yet, however. And now it's time to begin this pseudo-boss fight. This is where remembering where the outlets that were sparking were, because now we're going to want to interact with the outlets in a certain order. So first, interact with the symbol with the poison element. So the element where you killed the poison zombie at, you're going to want to interact with that symbol. So in my game, once again, I killed the poison element inside of the raw room. So I'm going to go ahead and interact with that, and I should be teleported to a lockdown inside of the poop deck. So basically, just kill all these catalyst zombies. Their souls to get absorbed into the Sentinel Artifact. There will be Blight Fathers. There will be just a bunch of zombies and catalyst zombies types. Only poison, however. So just kill all these. This is definitely the easiest of the lockdowns, so just keep this in mind. Now, after you do this, collect the max ammo that will spawn in the back, and also collect the Sentinel Artifact. Now go interact with the one that you killed the water zombie at, and this one was the Grand Staircase. So interact with the symbol. You should be teleported into the cargo hold. Now, lucky enough for you, all the steps going forward are actually pretty simple to explain. So if you made it past the clock step and the element step, congratulations, all the steps should be pretty easy to explain from here. However, they're not very easy to do. Now, this is definitely one of the harder lockdowns, probably the second hardest. So just go ahead and try to throw your Homunculus, use your Helion Salvo. Homunculuses are your best friend. You will not get a max ammo from completing this one, however, but you do have an equipment, so keep that in mind as well. So just throw your Homunculus. The biggest threat here is definitely the water, the zombies themselves, because they will actually be completely stronger and they will do a lot more damage to you. Kill the Blight Fathers that will spawn as well. There will be about 1 or 2 that will spawn in. And once you do that, go ahead and collect the Sentinel Artifact once more. Now teleport to the electric symbol. So go ahead and teleport to the electric symbol, the same one you killed the electric zombie on. Then my game was beside Zeus. And now you're just going to do a lockdown on the boat deck. Now this one's also pretty simple. It's probably the second easiest one. However, the Blight Fathers are probably the biggest issue here. The electric zombies themselves are pretty easy to avoid, and the zombies are okay. With the Helion Salvo, it should completely destroy the Blight Father, especially if it is completely upgraded 5 times. This will completely destroy the Blight Fathers. And once that's done, collect your max ammo and go ahead and collect the Sentinel Artifact. Now teleport to the final one, the Fire variant. Now this one is pretty hard to do, honestly. However, we're just going to be using Homunculus as much as we can. This is why I got these for you guys. Go ahead and throw your Homunculus, so when one ends, go and throw another one. This is basically how this entire one's going to be. However, this time, instead of Blight Fathers, there's going to be Stokers that spawn in. They're much easier to kill. However, they do have quite a lot of attacks, and they do quite a lot of damage. However, Homunculuses will take them out quite easily, as well as the fire zombies. So go ahead, and once you finish that, the boiler room should then go ahead and actually explode explode and go ahead and collect the Sentinel Artifact for one final time. Now it's time to flood the engine room. Now it's time to go over how to get all 3 of the Krakens. Now there's 3 ways to get the Krakens, and I'm going to go over all of them. The first one is the same one that I just mentioned earlier, where you have to get to round 9. However, it's basically probably going to be past round 9 by this point. So if you haven't done that yet, that's pretty much probably out of the game already. So now it's time to actually get it from the box. Now this one is probably just hit or miss. So if you're spinning for the Helion Salvo and you get it, that's great. However, if you don't get it, that's also just fine. The final way is the free way, which I'm going to teach you how to get right now. So first up, make it to round 10 or 11. A Stoker will spawn in. You are now going to have to kill him with a bullet weapon. So do not kill him with your specialist or the Kraken or anything like that. Kill him with your normal bullet weapon. And after he dies, you will see him drop a Stoker key. You should get a pop-up menu, go and pick up the Stoker key, and now we're going to have to go find 3 or 4 treasure chests around the map. The first treasure chest is actually inside of like the meat freezer room and the provisions area of the ship, and then if you come down to the turbine room, there's another one right here, and this little bit of rubble. Now, only one of these spots will actually contain a treasure chest, and the rest will contain like some rubble and stuff, so just keep in mind that only one of these will actually have a treasure chest inside of them. The next one is inside of the mail rooms, just right here. And just past the staterooms in the Mog Wallby right here beside this door. Lastly, inside of the galley right here. You are now going to want to fill it with about 10 or so souls, and then once you have enough souls, it'll close and then disappear and then teleport to one of the other spots. So then once you find the other chest, you can then go ahead and fill it up with more souls once again. It will shut and then disappear, and then for a final time, go find one more treasure chest on all the locations I previously listed, and then after you fill that one with souls, it will then show an item. So in my game, it was like a compass type item. I will now show all the items. For the binoculars, it's actually on the bow of the ship and the spawn on this crate right here. The compass is just beside the captain's quarters on the bridge on the boat deck right here. For the globe, it's just going to be right beside the destroyed smokestack leading to the galley right here. Whatever this tool is, it's just going to be right here on the, before you get to the poop deck right here. Finally, for the telescope, it's actually going to be on the poop deck before the KN-45 wallby right here. Walk near your item, a giant Kraken tentacle will then rise up, leaving the Kraken behind for you to obtain. And now you have the Kraken. This is where you will actually need your Kraken with the poison variant. Come into the turbine room and shoot all of the leaking water pipes from the blue pipe right here. So as you can see, I'm going all throughout the turbine room and shooting the blue leaking pipes right here. So just shoot all the ones that I'm shooting. They're in very obscure locations. Some of them might be harder to shoot than others, but whenever you shoot one, you'll get a hit marker, as well as you will see it's kind of patched up a little bit and it's not spraying out, it's just kind of leaking now. So just shoot all of the pipes inside of the turbine room, and after you do so, you will then hear a giant noise and the ship will rock back and forth, indicating your success. Engine room will now flood, and if the PaP position is already inside the turbine room, that's fine, but if it isn't, you can go ahead and in the round, and now the PaP position should teleport to the turbine room, allowing you to pack-a-punch the Sentinel Artifact, and then once you collect it back, it should now be purple in the tooltip menu, indicating your success, and now it's time to begin the dreaded planet step. Now I need to interact with about 8 symbols or 9 symbols all throughout the map. The first one is in front of the Odin perk machine right here. You can go and interact with that, you'll hear a noise, and the next one's inside the boiler room, which is Mars. You might have to crouch to get this one right here. I didn't really remember where these are or what they stand for, because I'll tell you that next, but the Neptune one is actually going to be inside this life preserver right here. The moon symbol is going to be on the same level as the dining hall right here, just in this window right here. And then if you come down here to the Millionaire Suite, underneath this table right here, you will see Venus. Go and interact with that symbol as well. Uranus is going to be inside the staterooms on this planet right here. The sun is going to be in the spawn room just against this weird metal thing right there. Mercury is going to be inside the mail rooms just against this thing right here. And lastly, Saturn is going to be against this S-Cargo wallby right here. Once you do that, come to the mail rooms and unflood the cargo hold. And now there will be a solar system model right here. I recommend you throw Homunculus if you're ready to begin this step, and then interact with it. You will then see all of the planets start to light up in a specific order. make sure to write this order down. I will show you all the planets just in a second here, but make sure to write down all the planets that it flashes in order, and it's going to be different for everyone once again, but we are now going to have to go interact with these things in a second. But a bunch of zombies will spawn in when you do this, but the homunculus should take them out quite well. Now, these are all the planets, so make sure to write them down. All of them will be written down in a specific order, except for the sun. The sun will always be last, and we'll figure that out in a second. But just write down all the symbols that it flashes in order, and then it's time to begin the planet step itself. The step is very simple, it's just pretty hard to do. Now with the Helion Salvo, it's not too hard, it's actually pretty easy with the Helion Salvo homunculus. However, it's very kind of easy to fail. But basically, once you have your order, you're going to want to shoot the planets that you got first. So in my order, my first planet was the moon. So I will shoot the moon, and I will go to the location that the moon symbol is in. And if you do not know the moon symbol, I will flash it up on screen. These are all the planets that are on the solar system, and where their place is and where their symbol is. So just look at this, and keep in mind where the essence of orb will go. So when you shoot it, the orb will fall to the location, or at least near the orb. It won't always spawn on top of the symbol, but it'll always spawn near. So for the moon here, it's just beside the symbol in this window right here. Very, very easy to do. I will show you what all the planets look like in game, but that's just how you do the step. That's the easy execution. Now, when you shoot the planets, a bunch of zombies will spawn in. So keep that in mind, and they will all rush toward where the orb is going. And sometimes a Blightfather and Stoker will spawn in as well, so keep that in mind as well. All the planets are mostly in the sky except for Neptune, but I will go over that in 1 second. If you fail this step, you will have to go interact with the solar system inside of the cargo hold once more and repeat. However, this round will be pretty long, and the only timer for this step is that when you shoot the planet, there will be a timer on the solar system essence ball itself. So if you do not collect the essence ball by the time you shoot the planet in time, you will fail the step and all the planets will disappear. Now just keep that in mind. So whenever you shoot the planet, you will have to hurry and try to collect your essence orb. It isn't a massive timer. It isn't very threatening. However, just make sure that you don't slack, Now keep this in mind. This one is the moon. Big orange planet is Jupiter. This one is Venus and can be easily confused with Mars, but keep in mind Mars is the quick-moving and very, very red one, and Venus is kind of like a mixture of Mars and Jupiter. It's a small Jupiter, kind of. This one's probably the most obvious one, Saturn. Now, this small purple one can also be very easily confused, but this one is Mercury, and this one is the closest one to the sun. This one can be confused with Mercury, but it's also very small and hard to see, but this one is Uranus. This one's very obvious, but this is the very bright red one, and this one is Mars. It's definitely the hardest one to get, because this one's actually inside the water. This one is Neptune. Now, this was my last one. Now, Neptune is floating around the ship inside of the water, so make sure to look out for it. It can be kind of wonky to shoot as well. But once you collect your last planet, do not shoot the sun. The sun will start a mini boss fight, and we are probably not prepared for that quite yet. So these are the things I recommend for this. Now, we're just going to be heading for the boss fight after this anyway. So these are the things I recommend. We want a full shield. We want 2 homunculuses and preferably a full equipment. However, it is not mandatory. We want the fully upgraded Helion Salvo, the electric or water Kraken upgrade variant because they're very good. The tornadoes and also Thundergun type variant is very, very strong as well. All 4 of our perks are absolutely needed because they're very useful, as well as we also want fully charged specialists going into this next step. Now, once you are ready and you have all these things, it's time to enter the Iceberg step. Once you're ready, shoot the final planet, which should be the sun. So go and shoot the sun. It will then land in the spawn area. Interact with this, and this will take you into the Iceberg step. As soon as you're in here, you should be able to blow out of this easily with our loadout. Go ahead and throw homunculus as soon as you get in here, and next go ahead and use your Helion Salvo or Kraken to blast through this iceberg. It will take many, many hits to destroy this iceberg. Once it's fully destroyed, you can then go ahead and run up here, and as soon as you get to this area for this iceberg, go ahead and pull out your specialist and then activate whatever abilities you want to. This is why I recommended the chakrams, because that's very, very overpowered here with the Furly Whirlwind ability. So go ahead and blast through these 2 icebergs, and by this point, you should have have your specialist gone. Throw another homunculus, and then you can go in and try and destroy this iceberg. Now, you might not get a max ammo here, and that's just fine. So move on to the next one. This one might be a little bit more difficult, but I recommend you use your Helion Salvo to destroy any incoming zombies. This one you should get a max ammo on, and then go ahead and throw a homunculus over here. And then you're going to want to shoot the iceberg all the way at the stern that you can see from this mystery box spawn right here. And eventually able to destroy the homunculus if you need to, and then it should get destroyed. A flash of light should play, and now we are into the boss fight and have completed the iceberg step. And now we're ready for boss fight. Make sure you restock on your shield and try and make sure you have a full dying wish and homunculus if you want. Now teleport on the symbol that we previously interacted with the elemental types. This is the boss fight. Once you are inside the iceberg, you are then going to want to interact with the Sentinel Artifact, and then a little animation will play. You will get sent back to the stern of the ship, the iceberg will rise out of the water, and then the giant eyeball boss should appear. This boss fight has 5 stages. Yes, you heard me right. 5 stages. In the first phase, you're just going to be on the stern of the ship fighting zombies. There's going to be stokers. There's going to be blightfathers. There's going to be all types of enemies. Just take out all the enemies, and eventually you should get a giant flash of light. Now, before this, just try not to take it down. There's going to be every single elemental zombie type on the map, and it's just going to be chaos. However, with your Helion Salvo homunculuses, and it should be a-okay. Now, once you're ready, and if you want one, you can go ahead and pick up the Carpenter and Max Ammo, or you can just wait until the flash of light appears. But once the flash of light appears, you'll have a second, so just prepare for the next phase. Then you'll get teleported to the engine room. This is where trouble arises. Now, this phase is pretty much the exact same all around, except every once in a while he will summon in ice tornadoes, which if you get stuck too long inside of, you'll get frozen. Now, also, the zombies will get empowered just like the water zombies will. So when the zombies walk into these tornadoes, they will get empowered and deal 75 damage instead of 50, and they'll have more health as well. But once again, just kill the zombies. There will be blightfathers, stokers, elementals, and every single zombie type that is on the map will now be inside this boss fight once again. So it's basically the exact same phase. Don't try to do anything to the eye. Just kill the zombies, and eventually a giant flash of light should appear. And I recommend you just throw your homunculuses. Don't worry, it should be fine since you have a max ammo there. And yeah, but once the flash of light appears, go and grab your stuff, and now it's time for the next phase. As soon as the eyeball appears and you get that flash of light inside the staterooms, throw a homunculus. Now, once you see a laser beam appear down one of the 2 hallways, and you see the eye at one of the 2 hallways, this is where you try and get your damage in. Whenever he's on one side of the room and firing his laser, peek out that hallway and shoot your Helion Salvo at the eyeball. If you have auto lock, it should be pretty easy as well, but if you don't, it's just fine. It should do same amount of damage. But shoot the eyeball whenever he's shooting his laser, and you should need to repeat this about 3 or 4 times. Throw homunculus. This is where you might need to use your equipment or that extra max ammo before it actually runs out. So if you run out of homunculuses, they last about for like 30 seconds or so. So once you run out of 2, go and grab the max ammo if needed. Now you're going to need to shoot the eyeball twice when he's peeking out the hallway. So he shoots the laser. He's starting to shoot his laser. Shoot him twice. He should then jerk back. You should also get a quote from the character, and you'll need to repeat this 2 times. So shoot 6 shots into this eyeball. So that's all you need to shoot about, and you should get a quote from your character if you do 2 shots once again. So, and the zombie shouldn't attack you, still be attacking the homunculus. So all you need to worry about is focusing on when the laser's getting shot, and the time gap isn't very large. But once you shoot him about 6 or 8 times, he should then jerk back, and then you should be teleported into phase 4. This phase is very similar to the previous phase. So as soon as he spawns in, he's going to start shooting lasers. So go ahead and throw a homunculus whenever you notice he starts teleporting around all over the place. So as you can see in this footage, he starts teleporting around, I throw the homunculus, and then he starts to shoot his laser. While he's charging at his laser beam and shooting his laser beam, this is where you can do damage. Once you shoot 2 shots into his eyeball, he should then jerk back for once again. You need to do this about 3 or 4 times. So as you can see, he starts teleporting around. I throw my homunculus, and then he starts charging up his laser, shoot 2 shots into him, and then he teleports once again. And now I need to repeat this for 1 final time. So once again, starts teleporting around, throw homunculus, charges up his laser, shoot him twice, and then that is phase. Collect your max ammo, or if you already have, collect your carpenter. And now you should be teleported into the 5th and hardest phase of this boss fight. only is this phase a little bit more complicated than the previous 4, but also he has a very instant wipe attack. So you're going to need to watch out for that. However, it appears at a very specific moment. So he'll teleport to either the left or right side of the ship. And whenever he's charging up his laser, this is where you can get damage in. Once you shoot enough shots in him, he will then teleport to the stern of the ship. But instead of just sitting there doing nothing, you will see him start to charge up some sort of mega laser. So while he's in this state, shoot 4 shots of your rocket launcher at him. And if you do that correctly, he will then jerk back or do an animation. But if he keeps charging up after you shoot 4 shots, continuously keep shooting him until he does that animation where he stops like this. You will need to repeat what we just did twice more. Now, whenever he's actually doing his wipe attack or you think he's about to do it, I recommend this is where you throw a homunculus. So when he teleports to the left or right side of the ship, he will shoot a laser beam. This is where you can get your damage in. Now, you can get frozen and easily killed, just like you see in this footage, by the laser beam attack. It is pretty deadly. However, with a homunculus out, it should be pretty simple to defeat him. So when he's charging up his laser, shoot your shots at him, and if you do enough damage, he will teleport in the middle, and this is only whenever he does a wipe attack. So while he's doing his wipe attack, you shoot 4 or a little bit more rockets at him. He will then jerk back once more, and he will become a little bit more damaged and red. Stuff is really real here because we're going to get ice tornadoes, we're going to get zombies, stokers, blight fathers, elemental zombie types, all of that good stuff. So we're going to need to watch out for the zombies at all costs. So once again, he'll teleport to the left or right side, start to do his laser attack, go ahead and shoot your rockets at him. It probably won't do his wipe attack quite yet. You need to do enough damage for him to do that. So once you do enough damage, he'll teleport to the front of the ship or the stern of the ship, and now you need to shoot all of your shots at him. It might take a little bit more than 4, but eventually, once you shoot your shots at him before he wipes you, he will then jerk back and then be shattered into pieces, because this is how you complete the boss fight. Now, if that wipe attack gets you, he'll basically down you. I don't think it insta-kills you, it just downs you, so just really be sure of that, because it's very, very dangerous. That attack is absolutely insane, so make sure to watch out for that. And then the ending cutscene will play, and congratulations, you have finished one of the hardest boss fights and Easter eggs in Call of Duty Zombies history. Congratulations, major congrats to you. And yeah, next time will be 9, a much simpler but also still a pretty difficult Easter egg quest, so definitely be on the lookout for that. That'll be out either Saturday or next Wednesday. I do not know yet. It's probably a lot easier for me to do it on Wednesday, but we'll see Saturday. So, hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day. Hopefully this guide helped. I know some parts were a little confusing, like the boss fight, but it's really that easy. You just need to get damage in when he's doing his laser attack, and then once he's doing his charge attack, shoot him a couple times, and then he will just be phased, kind of. But boys, I will not be doing a no-nonsense part of this guide, because not only is this kind of impossible, but also I already have all the parts inside this video. So just skip to the parts you need, and hopefully that'll help you out. So have a fantastic rest of your day, and peace out, dudes.